Okay, it's about 5:33. I'll call this meeting to order. Jessica, if you record the attendance. Article 2 on our agenda is approval of the agenda. If you haven't had a chance to look at that, if you would take a minute, and I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to Article 3. Approval of the November meeting, November 19th meeting minutes. Again, if you haven't had a chance to look at those, if you would, and I'll take a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I can second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. Article 4. It looks like we have some visitors this evening. If you'd like to step up to the podium and introduce yourself. And we usually allow 5 minutes.
I believe to say, I'm just here to like participate in this, see what's going on.
Oh, okay. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. I could still come up if you'd like me to.
We don't get many visitors, can you tell?
Especially on a really cold night.
Here's open, we both come right up there.
Jessica, anyone on? No. Okay. Article 5, we have election of officers this evening. So we've got 3 positions. Chair, vice chair, and secretary. I obviously can't vote for chair.
But I can nominate you for
Yeah.
chair.
Okay.
You want to open?
I'll second that.
Yeah, you want to open it up for nominations for each position.
Each one individually and vote.
Yes.
Yeah. All in favor?
For opening it up?
What are we?
You need accepting nominations for chair. Should be
Right,
the motion. Yep.
right. And so we have
So
to
they
vote
did-
on that now. We
Yep.
had a motion to
A motion and a second.
and seconded, and now we have now vote. I can't vote.
There you go.
I could?
Mhm.
Sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Congratulations.
Michelle Kyla will be chair of the board, the DDA board for the next year. Next nomination is for vice chair. And I know we discussed that Steve was still interested in being in that.
I would still be willing to do unless someone else would like to step up.
I'll nominate Steve.
I'll
And
second that.
Great candidate.
Thank you for that nomination and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, Steve,
Yeah,
vice
you're
chair again for another year.
Okay,
Thanks for your service. The third position is the secretary. I know that Scott has been doing that job.
I've been very active.
So we need, unless there's,
Nominate Scott.
oh,
Happy to do it
I
again.
second it.
all in
That's okay.
favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Say.
All right,
Yeah.
Scott, thank you for your service, and Scott will be serving as secretary for the next year.
That was fast. For all of us.
Article 6, onboarding, and we have this nice binder in front of us.
Yes, so we've been talking for a while about, the purpose of the DDA, and we've had lots of conversations over the last 12 months or so in regards to the purpose. And so what, Jessica actually put most of the time in behind putting this together, but not only are we doing this for the DDA, but we're doing it for every other board and commission that exists in the township. So we did it for the Board of Trustees, the Planning Commission, and everyone looks a little bit different, but there are some consistencies across all of them as well. But what you have before you is, broken up into tabs. You can see There's a welcome letter, there's DDA 101, which is really, breaks down what the purpose of the DDA, what the roles are. A lot of this, was, found online. And then also through, I think a couple of you went to a training put on by the Michigan Downtown Association. Pulled some information from there. The second tab is the DDA budget for the 2025 year. It goes through the TIFA Act. If you really want to read that and need some light reading, there's the whole entire act is in there for you. Again, what are townships? And then we put something in because not everybody understands or knows what the makeup of the township actually is. So the fourth tab is actually the departments of the township with the corresponding positions and who's filling those positions. So you can kind of see the organizational chart of the township, which I think is helpful because I don't know that everybody realizes who plays what role within the township. The next section actually goes through every committee that the township has, board or commission or committee. So it starts with board of review and ends with the zoning board of appeals. And then there's a little bit about each board and commission in here, how it's established, because boards and commissions can be established by state law or they can be established by the board of trustees as an ongoing board or committee. So there's just a little bit about what their purposes are, who can serve on them, and then what the terms are too. So this just summarizes all the different boards and commissions. The next section is the capital improvement plan, or you'll see CIP. That is the capital improvement plan that we take to the board of trustees each year in regards to capital projects. It's actually a 5-year plan. And then every year we approve the budget, we extend that one more year. So we always have a 5-year forecasting capital plan. This didn't go in all of the binders. It came into the DDAs because there are a lot of things that the DDA can do that can utilize capital. We're going to be embarking on the Tassel Park improvements, the village improvements. We've talked about streetscaping up and down 28th Street. So there is a page, and yes, we just put the DDAs page in here. No, we didn't.
I think it's the very last page.
Oh, yep, we did. So just the capital improvement plan for the DDA is what we included, but there's a lot of information about CIP. The full plan with all the departments and everything across the township is available on the website too. But I didn't want to confuse things too much. There's a lot in here, so we figured we'll stick to what's relevant for DDA. And then we have our annual reports. So we're working on the 2024 annual report now. So we hopefully will have that for you at the next meeting to look at, and then you can add it right here to your binder. And then the last page, as we work through anything that guides development within the township is through the zoning ordinance. This is our current zoning ordinance now. With the passage of our master plan, the township passed that. Gosh, I want to say in September. The next task for staff and for the board of trustees and the planning commission is to actually update our zoning ordinance to match what our master plan wishes are. So for instance, the village area has its own designation and overlay right now in the zoning ordinance, but with the direction that we're moving, there's going to be a little bit more that needs to be updated, needs to be amended. So those are all the things that will be going into the zoning ordinance updates, which we hope to have done and approved in the next 4 or 5 months. But this is the current zoning. So if you're curious what a parcel, is zoned within the district or setbacks, lot lines, those types of things, it's all in here. So that was a real quick overview of a pretty big binder. But I just wanted to get that to you guys and then open it up for any questions if there are any for clarification or things you'd like to see added.
Not so much a question, but just very impressed with the amount of work that got put into this. I don't know how long it took you, Jessica, but everything is consistently like laid out. It's very easy to read. Very well done. Compliments. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks
on
for
that.
your
Thank you.
effort.
Yeah.
And Jade, you said this would be done and it's done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
We
Yep.
appreciate it.
It was a task. Jessica's office, first of all, we went through a little bit of a remodel at Township Hall. So Jessica was kind of put into an office that wasn't meant for her, but you should have seen the office, all the different stacks from all the different commissions. This one is probably a little bit on the larger side, but the planning commission was about this thick, the boards was about this thick. So all of December, this is what she was doing.
But I think,
great.
not only have your team set us up for success right now,
Mhm.
but for the years ahead, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
to so to speak, have the, you want to call it the township Bible here.
Yep.
For future administrations to come back and take a look and see what's happened, but also, again, to have some consistency as they move forward. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
Do we take these home with us?
Yeah, these are yours. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And moving forward, the plan is that every time we have a vacancy right now in the DDA. So when that vacancy is filled, if Grace chooses to fill it,
Yeah.
they will get this and we will go through an onboarding process with them. Yep.
That'd be really nice, because think
Yeah.
about coming on, like.
Yes.
It's a
Mhm.
little bit of I don't have no idea what I signed up for.
Yeah,
Right.
right,
Yep.
right.
And I'm sure as you do that on that one-on-one, face-to-face onboarding, this could be kind of intimidating too by saying, hey.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, breaking it down.
We'll do
to,
meetings.
you
Yep.
know,
Yep. Yes, for 100%.
Find the last page.
Yeah.
And then as things like the zoning, because that's undergoing a change and, evolution, let's say.
Yep.
So any thoughts to how these things, because they're hard copy, how those updates?
Yeah, we
happen?
debated whether to do hard copy, just do it all electronic.
Yeah.
It's probably always going to be up to date if we did electronic, but I also think there's something about having something in your hands that you can flip to.
Right.
So in regards to the CIP, the budget, and when anything would be updated in here, like the addition of our annual report, we'll bring copies in for you so you can just plug them right into
Just to the
this binder.
meetings.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then you can choose
Right.
to throw away the old ones or, recycle them or keep them
Yeah.
as reference.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's going to be accessible to the general public.
Probably, well, not in this format because all of the information in here is accessible, but in
On the
different areas.
Yeah.
So the budget is like the DDA budget's included in the township budget, which can be
Yeah.
found under the finance, but
Okay.
so it won't be put together quite like this, but all the information is available on the website in various spots.
Great.
Now, there are some things that I think came out of this that we're going to utilize onto the website, which did not exist before. For instance, the boards and committees. We didn't really have a really robust description of the purpose, who appointed them, the terms that in the description. So if anybody wanted to actually apply for a boards or commission, they can actually see what they're getting in for by seeing that. So there were a little bit of things that came out of this that we're going to utilize moving
Nice.
forward.
And just the org chart for the township
Mhm.
staff is, because I think obviously the people's names and their positions were on the website, but I don't recall that there was an org chart so that people could see how the organization
Yeah.
lays out.
There wasn't.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
We put that together. And actually in that section, I forgot the most important part, because this is what people always ask, like, what do you do? All the departments have a quick synopsis behind that org chart. So what the township does as a whole, what the assessing department does, community development, building department,
Yeah.
what we do in the administration department, engineering. So all of that is laid out in here. And Jessica worked with all the directors to make sure we kind of hit the highlights
Yeah.
of what's included in those departments.
Well done. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Thank you.
There aren't any other comments. We'll move on to Article 7, landscaping.
Yes, I probably could have just included this in my staff updates and I'm not sure why I didn't, but because there's nothing really to vote on right now. We're hoping to come back to you next meeting with, we're going to go out to bid for the flower pots again, the median islands, and then the holiday decorations all together in regards to landscaping. So we're going to go out to bid. I'm assuming Harder and Warner, who's done a really good job for us, we'll bid on it again. But we will do a formal RFP. But before we do that, I wanted to make sure that we captured everything that you all want to see in the RFP. So were there things in the past that were missing that you wanted to see added? And then it kind of piggybacking that, and I'll talk about it in my staff update as well. The 28th Street and I-96 project that I brought before you, and then I got sent back to the drawing board to make it a bigger, that kind of took on a life of its own. It's a little bit bigger than Harder and Warner. So we've engaged Native Edge, who also worked with them in regards to Friendship Park. I met with Wes. So we have a little bit more work to do there. So I don't have any, that won't be part of this. It'll be kind of a standalone. Yep.
So that's going to be basically a separate project
Mhm.
as a renovation of
Yeah.
those areas.
Yeah, because, when we talked, you guys had said something, about doing, the entries, exit ramps and the entrance ramps and some more
Yeah.
improvements other than just the median.
Yeah,
So those are the things that Wes is out taking a look at, and we'll come back with me
Nice.
and put something together.
and then the reason, because now we're combining these into one sort of big landscaping project, is the reason it has to go out to bid because of the.
Yeah,
amount.
and it's been kind of, so this will be so I got here in September of 23, and we immediately realized holiday decorations and fall decorations, I don't know if they were approved. So we quickly threw that together. Last year, I think we wanted to expand on the holiday decorations. We worked with Harder and Warner. There was some side conversations. So it's kind of been a little wonky the last couple of years. So it's probably the appropriate thing to do is to go out to
Yeah.
bid to make sure that we actually get what we want and that everything is in writing. Yeah.
I think it makes sense too, from a consistency standpoint of having one landscaping firm do all of the work so
Right.
that right hand knows what the left hand, they have an understanding of,
Mhm.
overall what. It's great. Okay.
So that was more of an FYI, but if there's things that you see that you were like, gosh, we missed this or we didn't do that, let me know, or myself or Jessica know, we can incorporate those into the RFP.
Yeah.
I'd
mean-
imagine the OHM work too would drive some future landscaping, like
Yes.
Yeah.
vision.
Yes.
or-
Yep.
Oh, go ahead.
No, well, we've had separate conversations on all of these about, some of the issues that have gone on in the past.
Mhm.
Whether it was, holiday decorations or the planters were not maybe up to where we thought they should be. And we had lots of conversation about the median islands. So, personally, I don't have any, outside of those conversations, I don't have any other concerns, or I think we've covered a lot of it,
Okay.
but somebody else might have.
I think the only thing that I'm thinking of is obviously, we're gonna do the bridge construction here in March, I think it is. And then we have the Tuffy space is gonna be unactivated for a period of time. Is there something that we wanna do with that space with not only back to a sign, but do something else around it so that it's another kind of entry point to our downtown area until it comes to fruition.
Are you talking on a temporary basis?
Yeah,
Okay.
if there's something that we could be doing.
Mhm.
And that's the only other thing I could think of that is I think a high visible spot.
Right.
When is the next time OHM is doing a presentation? Because aren't they looking at doing that
Yeah, they're,
corner and that Tassel Park first?
yes, so they were supposed to have, we ran into some, but they discovered that when we went out there and walked the site and realized how much road noise there was off of Cascade Road, that they have to look at the elevation of that first building. So they kind of took a step back and are looking at some buffers that they could do along Cascade Road and how that could be incorporated into the overall design. We also needed to get the building down in order for them to do some surveying, because we needed the building out of the way for the land surveying. This, as you saw, the building is down now. We missed our date. We missed to 2024 by, I think, about 4 or 5 days, which I was bummed. I know you commented.
Close enough.
I was shooting for that December 31st date. But we ran into some issues with utilities and getting our shutoffs and our letters of confirmation from them. So here we are, we're delayed just a little bit. So we're hoping in March that OHM has that final concept come back, that they can either call in or Zoom in and present to everybody, or allow me to do it, and then we can take a look at that. And then that will absolutely set the ball rolling for us to then move into the next steps, which I'm getting ahead of myself. But we'll roll into some preliminary engineering, and we'll look at how the funding and cost estimates are gonna roll in. So that way we can plan for the rest of 2025 to hopefully get shovels in the ground and do some improvements in 2026.
I know, last meeting, you had brought up, Steve had brought up some thoughts about those sort of gateways in with some kind of structure and,
Mhm.
you know, and branding and Chris sent out a nice photo of another example of that. And so Scott bringing up you
Mhm.
know, what's happening there on the corner with the park and then OHM and how that all gets incorporated in as
Right.
we move forward with.
Yep, I think all of that will be worked into final designs and through conversations, because especially the gateway on Cascade Road and 28th Street, those are all actually all, especially Cascade Road, that's actually a state trunk line. So we have to work with MDOT and the Kent County Road Commission on anything that happens on Cascade Road.
Yeah.
I don't know how many highways you see that have gateway signs on it. We could be the first, but it could be a challenge. So it could be something that we design and work towards, and then have to continue the process, you know, it
Right.
could be like phase 2.
Right.
But I think the park in the corner is gonna, because of the bridge will be done, the park in the corner will really show the public input from the township and the DDA's perspective, and then hopefully continue to move forward with phase 2s and 3s and whatever comes out of it.
And speaking of the bridge, I mean, there were lots of conversations all along the way about using banners
Mhm.
along that as for a couple reasons, the effect that they might have on traffic calming.
Yep.
As well as an identity piece, you know, as people are coming in that gateway area.
Yep.
And if that's something, even if it's an interim, like, yes, this is how we're gonna do it in the beginning, or, you know, or it's incorporated in, that could be another.
Yeah, so the banners and flags and the lights and everything that's gonna go on the bridge, that's all slated to go in the spring. So we will, and the fencing that was being looked at, there are I'm using the fixtures that can go on that can hold flower baskets or flags or
Yeah.
banners. And then we have I think there's an additional 2 light posts that are going on the bridge itself,
Yeah.
but right now there aren't any.
Yeah.
So that will also be
Nice.
able to. So yeah, we'll definitely, that at a minimum, we'll be able to do that for
Yeah.
sure. Yep.
Okay,
When will the fencing come down around 10 feet? Like, that's not gonna just stay there forever.
No, the plan is, until we can actually get the rest of the site permanently cleaned up, the construction done on the bridge, and then make sure that it's safe, because the
Right.
foundation is actually still there for the building.
Okay.
So there'll probably be some sort of fencing. I'm not sure that it needs to come out as far as it is. And then have you seen the signs, like if you go to a major city or a downtown that's got construction signed up and it almost has a rendering of
Yeah.
what's gonna be there?
yeah.
We're looking into putting up something like that so people can actually see it, and then also QR codes and things so people could be interactive with,
Nice.
you know, standing there and wondering what's gonna happen or see what's gonna happen.
So Jade, is there gonna be a name for the bridge, or is it gonna be a veterans bridge, or have you guys?
I believe I heard Grace talk about that, and I can't remember what she said, but I think they're gonna dedicate the bridge at Heritage Festival, which will take place in the fall.
Okay.
But I do believe it did have something to do with veterans. I don't know which. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I know Grace has talked about it before, and that is the plan.
Okay, cool.
Yep, I'll email you all because she's not here.
It-
Otherwise she'd jump in. I know she would.
Is the March OHM work, is that gonna be more public facing, like where we get more engagement with the concepts with the public, or?
I think they took a lot of their feedback from the October meeting, and then we've gotten, you know, some emails and some, we've been trying to get it out in the newsletters and on the website and asking for feedback that way, but we'll definitely continue to take feedback.
Yeah.
And again, what they're bringing in March is still just the final concept. That was all that
Yeah.
scope included. And so from there, there'll be room for more comments and then more updates. And then once you actually get into engineering, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, that's not going to be able to be done that way. So we've got to, got to pivot.
Have any of your public comments, have they all continued to be positive?
Yes. Yeah. I think people are really excited about the public space for sure.
Any other comments, questions? Moving on to Article 8, DDA branding and communication.
I think that was, you wanted that on there, right?
Well, yeah, so, I mean, we've had some conversations around this for the last year or so. And, mostly because, I mean, it's one part of an overall sort of communication plan, but helping people understand what the DDA is, what it does, how it does things,
Mhm.
and continually having the communication with the residents and the business owners about what's going on. And because we just haven't been that front facing.
Mhm. So in regards to the branding and communication, I think I've said this before, and it's one of these projects that for whatever reason keeps getting pushed to the side. And it's really important that we do it in 2025, but we need to do an overall township branding. That's the desire of the supervisor and some of the board members. So incorporating that into a rebranding of the community and then also tagging on the DDA to make sure that they complement each other. I don't think they don't have to be the same, but they should complement so that you still see that the DDA is an arm of the township and that in both are represented appropriately. I think in the interim, what we can do is as we start to do more events and we start to promote things, I think even there's a flyer in your packet tonight that shows an event coming up where we've modified I see this. Jessica, we have the wrong logo on this flyer. So the Cascade logo, there is one out there that actually has Downtown Development Authority. We used it at Heritage Festival. We used it at Metro Cruise. So we've added those words to the bottom blue line of the Cascade logo. It was also on the sign that was out front of Tuffy. So I think there's things that we can start to do to make sure that we're promoting the district appropriately. And then I think some of the things we can do interimly is actually come up with, more information, kind of your elevator speech about the TDA. So we can put that information on whatever we are promoting. So I don't want to say it got lost. I just think it's with the whole.
I mean, there's been a lot that's been going on and I think it's a much better, or it's a good approach that it's incorporated into the bigger plan.
Did you guys ever see I don't know if any of you were still on the TDA when they had, I don't even know what it was called. But they had what was it? Yeah, it was a really, it didn't show you that you were part, like Cascade. I don't think it represented anything really well. So, if you haven't noticed, that's gone. Like we don't even use it anymore. What we have is better than what that was. So, but then continuing just to promote the district. Yep.
Yeah.
So if I understand you right too, Jade, so we're looking at redoing the logo aspect of things for Cascade Township and then trying to tie it all together.
Yes. Yeah. And we'll bring in, we won't do that in-house. We'll bring somebody in. I've worked with a couple different companies in the past that do branding exercises and then they put together, it's called a branding guide or style guide. And it shows you how you can use your logo, different color versions, black and white versions, full color versions, how to do letterhead, business cards, the whole thing. So it really is, complete, but it's funny, you work for an organization long enough that doesn't have one and you start to see just slight variations of logos or someone just took a picture and photocopied it and then put it over here. And it's like, no, that's not what we do.
And even if we use existing vehicles to help people understand, what we do and how we do it, I think that would be helpful just because I've had lots of people ask me because they don't it's a public education kind of thing. And then the communication piece, obviously, you know, with the business owners and, you know, the.
Yeah, and
so-
actually you bring up a really good point, because, you know, we have a newsletter that goes out to every single household in the
Yeah.
township. So,
Yeah,
I don't know that we'll make the next publication, but maybe the one after that, we can actually do what is the DDA, and kind of do an FAQ sheet just to kind of introduce the district to everybody, talk about the focuses that the projects that you're undertaking. And then just kind of refer to, you know,
yeah.
Well, there's also the mandated educational
mhm.
Mhm.
seminar that we have to do every year also.
Yep.
So that would be a potential another good time or the time to
Yeah.
make the public aware.
Yeah.
It's something else that we're undertaking is, we have so our communications department or staff person has gone through some changes in the last year and a half, and we now have a part-time communications specialist coordinator. She actually lives in the community, and she does a great job. So we've been looking at how we can do some things differently, including small videos that we can then share on the website and on social media. So we easily could sit down and do a brief one on the DDA. The fire department's doing some on public safety topics. We're probably gonna do one on watering. Parks and Recs are gonna start doing some on the parks. So you'll start seeing more videos and interactive things that you can watch, and then click on something. It'll take you back to the website for more details as well. So we absolutely could do that for the district.
Yeah, it's great.
We can put
So-
you on camera, Michelle.
It's a 2025 thing.
It is.
All
Yep.
right. Any other questions, comments? We can move on to Article 9, the yearly calendar.
So this is something that we started last year, if you recall. Jessica put together this year's, and just want everybody to take a look at this. You can see that we have in there for like the flower pots, we'll have the potential RFP ready to go for next month and voting in April. We'll also have some more information to discuss about Heritage Festival, and then concrete replacement. You know, as we did some sidewalks last year, we did work with the township on, you know, last year on those improvements. So I've got engineering going out and taking a look again. Not even sure if it's going to be needed this year, but it's something that, because it's on our radar, we probably, if we want the district to be more walkable, we probably should make sure that it's a safe area for people to walk. And then you can see the rest of the year falls into place.
Is there anything, I guess my question is there anything that we think is not on here that should be?
I think the one I always advocate for is at least it holds us accountable to talk about it is just what's going on from a crime standpoint. At least we have a cadence of maybe twice a year touching base on that to get a read, because that impacts different parts of the DDA. And I think
kind of-
that's also a talk of like how if our resources in the DDA are being used not only for safety, for fire and police, first responders.
So a safety presentation add to your.
Yeah, maybe twice a year, just are we trending
Okay.
up, down with crime? What trends are we seeing? Is it impacting business districts? Is it more residential? But just for us, our concern is the business side of it.
Yep. We can add that for sure.
Is the DDA gonna be looking at those grants, or is a different committee looking at those grants? Applications for like the facades and stuff like that?
Oh,
'Cause I
yeah,
don't
that'll
see
be
that
on-
on here.
Yeah, this is more, I don't know that we would put those on here, because those could occur at any time. So
Okay.
that's kind of normal course of business.
Okay.
But absolutely, like I see, like, the budget is on here because that we have to have a certain time to get it approved, but those applications.
Anytime they come in, we'll
yep.
look at them.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep,
Have we had any, like, out of curiosity, as long as you're talking about them?
yes,
In there
I'll
somewhere.
go through that in
Oh,
my
in
staff
there.
update. Yep, we actually did. Mhm. So any other comments on, and I'll have more information, the Metro Cruise warm up, we may have more discussion in March. I just received, we had an initial meeting with Brandon Simmons, who came last year. He's already been out this year. They're already ramping up for how they're, you know, gonna make it, you know, new and improved this year and continue on. And he just sent me an email over the weekend, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet. So once I do that, I think he's got a proposal in order to, again, the DDA, if they sponsor it, that's great visibility for the district. And we actually do have the opportunity to have presence at Metro Cruise. So with us discussing it so far in advance, we actually can set up, how do we want to man that station? What, do we just want a promotion? Do we just want like a big banner, a flyer, that type of thing? So we can talk through different ways to get that information out there.
Have we gotten away from pursuing a joint meeting at some point with the trustees? Because we've talked about that in the past, or based upon how communication is, we're not pursuing that anymore. That's the only other thing that I don't know if we've finalized that decision or not.
I can get with Grace on that. It hasn't been talked about in quite some time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of fell off the radar in terms of, I think that in some ways is a good thing because we've had more communication between, factions within the, either other departments, or there's just been better communication.
Yeah,
so.
communication has improved
Yeah, but I
significantly.
think a huge piece of that, and I think we'll have to evaluate, a huge piece of that is because of Jade.
Mhm.
Because Jade touches every single one
Yes.
of the different committees and boards.
Yes.
And as you're gonna be talking about the hiring of a DDA manager, that DDA manager is going to be focused on one. Now, he or she may get information from you, but not, again, be the source of all knowledge to be able to, so to speak.
Oh, right,
You know
on
what I mean?
everything, right,
on
holistically,
everything,
sure,
correct.
right.
So not to say that communication isn't great, because it is. But again, you're so to speak, that silo that's given us everything.
Yeah.
As compared to somebody who is just gonna be focused in on one topic for the township. And then there may be a need down the road to where we need to get
Mhm.
the feedback from the other committees,
Sure.
or whatever the case may be. So
Yep, that makes sense.
I hope we just don't kick it in the trash can, so to speak, but that it becomes a topic for the future potential.
Oh, sure,
So-
sure, yep.
We can move on to Article 10, staff updates.
Okay, so in your packet, I've got it bullet pointed again. As we go through this, I have more detail to share, so ask questions. The Cascade Village reimagined, we kind of talked through that process already, so I'll have more to bring you in March on that. But I am in contact with OHM. We're still continuing to work and finalizing that final concept. The other part of it too is they're working really closely with McKenna and staff on that rezoning we were talking about to make sure that their concept is indicative of what we're working on from a zoning perspective, so that the two, so someone go, well, you have a picture of a building that looks like this is what I want to do, but it's not in our zoning. So we're making sure that they're appropriate too. Next topic was the site improvement grant. So this is a great tool. I still am a huge supporter of it. I think we may have gotten it out a little too early. And here's why I say that is because we don't have the zoning redone. And if we are going with more of a form-based code of a look and a feel of the village, we want people to kind of comply with, not comply, but to follow that direction. Well, we introduced this, we got our first application and I did not bring it tonight and I apologize. The rendering of the improvements that they wanted to do in the building were really, really modern. And it didn't really follow the look and feel of what we're looking for in the village. So great discussion. They knew they were the guinea pigs. They're still moving forward with facade improvements. They're just not going to go forward with the grant for the major improvements. They still may be approved for a sign because that's a part of it. So, but through looking at their renderings and their facade, it didn't quite fit. The group that we took this back to was the Village Design Redesign Committee,
Mhm.
which has it meets on any of the development that occurs in the district. That's been in place for years. For instance, is an example, that new law office that's on Old 28th Street. The first version that came to the township, that looked, I thought it looked like a funeral home. Sent them back to the drawing board, and now they brought forward something that actually is more indicative of what we want to see throughout the
Looks like
village.
it's gonna
So
be really nice.
yeah, it is turning out nice. And now we're able to use that as an example. So with this application, I was able to say, this is where they came, this is where we ended up. And they thought that they thought going that route would have been more expensive. So they just withdrew their application.
Hmm.
So,
So they're just gonna hold off on any renovations until decisions are made?
no, I think they're still moving forward with renovations. They just won't be, because as of right now, we don't have the zoning to say no.
No.
So they're going to do the re-image based on current zoning
Mhm.
Mhm.
as compared to what we're looking at for the future.
Correct. Yeah,
So they're
so
gonna
that's
do
where I
that
was like, I
really
think we
quick.
may have done it a little backwards, but,
Agreed. Yeah.
but the good thing is the word's getting out there because they saw the little snippet of it in the newsletter, I think 2 newsletters ago. I think they actually gave me their submittals and I sat down and met with them even before January 1st and before the budget even went into effect. And this is the building, it's actually the doctor's office that's behind Starbucks.
Yeah, I just
So
looked
they're,
it up.
yeah, so their design, they're trying to complement what's happening on the facade inside the strip mall.
Mhm.
So that was kind of where they were focused. A really good conversation because they actually own a lot more property than what you think. If you actually ever go to that building and in the back, there's a dirt, like it looks like a pretty large dirt parking lot.
Mhm.
They own all that back up to the creek.
Oh,
So they definitely want to look at some development back there
Okay.
in the future. So.
all right.
I briefly just touched on Metro Cruise. I'll have more to come on hopefully next month on that. The DDA manager hiring, being pretty particular on who we interview for this. We've only had a couple of people actually interview for it. I know there's been a lot of communities that are hiring DDA directors right now. I believe Grand Rapids is, Ada was, there's another community. I don't know, the candidates just aren't out there. So I'm talking with Katie on how we can recruit, maybe somebody and try and get some better applicants in. But as we stand right now, I would rather, just move in the direction that we're going right now until we find the right fit.
Mhm.
Because this DDA is so large. I mean, it really is. I don't think people realize how big Cascade's DDA is and how, big of a footprint it is. So if
It
you
sounds
know
like there's a
anybody
lot
out
of
there-
Competition though, right? now.
Yeah, yeah. So if you know anybody, we can teach what DDAs are. We can't teach personalities. We can't teach,
What are
you
you
know.
looking for? Like, what qualifications do you need?
I can send you the job description but we're really looking for someone that kind of can be a cheerleader for, and I use that word loosely, but a cheerleader for the district because they want to be what we're talking about tonight, branding the district, promoting the district, and not just getting in new businesses where we may have empty storefronts, but retaining the businesses that we have, getting intimately involved with the businesses that may be dealing with some high crime or some issues around their businesses, and then working with myself in public safety. So anything district related that can be an advocate and a cheerleader for the district. And then obviously somebody with a little bit of event planning, a little bit, just because of the things that just in the last year, look at the things we've been involved in and what we're trying to get people into the district to support the businesses. We want someone that can continue to do that. It doesn't have to be their whole job because we have a program coordinator that can help with that too, but just someone that has an eye for that.
I haven't. Is there a sort of economic development component in this role or no? Yes,
Yes.
okay.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, because there's a whole, there's organizations out there that are based all around economic development.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're fortunate, we don't have a lot of vacancies, and as soon as we do, they seem to be full. But it only takes Walmart to make a decision to say, we're gonna close this store, right?
Yeah.
Which that's a great opportunity for the township to redevelop that site, but you need someone that's gonna be that liaison for the district, plus our community planning director,
Yeah.
building director, and myself, so we can kind of make sure that that real estate is what we want it to be in the district.
Great,
So,
wonderful.
so
What's happening with Walgreens? Are they remaining open?
I have
Here?
emailed them twice. Because in my second one, I tried to call them. Once they made that announcement that they were closing, I don't know if they just don't answer the phone at their corporate real estate.
So they
You
are
know.
closing that location.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I'm trying to find out.
I don't know.
Because
That's what I
we-
was wondering, because I
I-
think they're closing a lot of locations.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one I feel like is
Yeah.
busy.
I would think that it's not going to.
It's
Um,
probably what
Private
I
equity
think
is
too,
gonna
they're
buy
always
whole-
busy.
The whole Walgreens franchise, I heard today.
oh,
So-
really? Okay.
Yeah, we've got an investment that has Walgreens property and they're selling off, like, we're
Yeah.
getting, yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I've tried to communicate with them a couple times to see what their plan is. Because before that went to market, I think the township would be in a great spot to say, especially with what we're doing in the
Yeah.
village and looking at that and
Great
being in
property.
control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause you know, I've been in another community where there was some property on a high visibility road. And the township or the city at that point controlled the property, but it doesn't mean you have to retain it. You can do an RFP or an RFQ out to developers for what you want. And then they bid on putting in what you want in the community. And it's a really, it's a great way to kind of control and have input on what comes to the township.
Have we had any people approach us to sell their property or?
Mm-mm.
No.
Oh, I take that back. We did have one. I don't know if I'm at liberty to say they met with Grace.
Okay.
The minute that the Village Reimagined came up, they made a call to her and said, I think their pricing was a little out of whack, but
So I have a quick question and a comment. I was just curious how the hotel ordinance situation is going. That's my question. And my other comment is, something that I was touched by over the holidays through my church. And I think we brought this up many months ago. My wife is involved in the Santa Claus program, and we had a family just by happenstance that we had to deliver to the Red Roof Inn. And they were, the lady had 3 kids going to Forest Hill schools. And I can't tell you how saddened I was by that. And apparently we had 5 families in that hotel that had kids going to Forest Hills. And I've since seen buses stop at other hotels in that district.
I just saw a notice on Forest Hills Facebook page or something, I think, where the buses can no longer stop at that hotel. So they were having to.
I know they were backing up traffic, so I don't.
yeah, I don't know with,
Cause somebody said they had to move because the bus can't go to the hotel anymore, so they have to move because they're,
I heard that.
Did anybody
read
see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
yeah.
It's been ongoing. There's been a number of kids that, the bus has been coming there for years at multiple hotels, I believe.
Yeah.
Red Roof specifically.
Mhm. Red Roof was probably the biggest stop, I guess. if you
Yeah,
wanna
it's
call
just
it
a comment. It
Yep.
touched me and. you
Yeah,
know,
but I guess going back to the first question that you had, we have seen positive outcomes in the hotel ordinance. We have had 100% compliance on a submittal and payment of the application by all the hotels in the township. Doesn't mean we have compliance on everything because of course we've sent back incomplete applications. But 3 weeks ago, I believe it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, we actually issued our first license after going through the whole process. And it's not easy. I mean, we are requiring postings within the hotels. There's lighting requirements on the outside. There's improvements, safety improvements, inspections by the fire department, the sheriff's office, the building department, and our community development department. So it is not an easy license to get. And we did issue our first one, and they should be happy about it, but it's actually the roadway in, if you can believe it, on Patterson,
Yeah.
is the first one that got their license, and they have been very, very good to work with. And they even understand that they're the first ones, but they still are working with us and we're tweaking, certain things.
What if you don't
It-
get your license? What happens?
We can start fining them. And the fine starts at $5,000. The second offense is 10,000. The third offense is 20,000. And then we go take them to court and try and close them down. I will say that our hotel that's giving us the most grief is the Red Roof. But with that being said, though, we've still seen a decrease from both the sheriff's calls and the fire department's calls to all the hotels.
That's encouraging.
I've seen a ton of more sheriff's presence around that area.
Yeah,
I go to the Y, I visit that area and they're around.
Always, to their credit, they've there's been a significant amount of presence there. They're very active there. And despite everything they did, there was an issue.
so we're still working through the applicants. Now
Have you
we're really
found
just waiting for,
anybody Yet?
I'm sorry,
Have you found anybody yet
we're
or?
close. Yep. We're working really closely with our attorney's office, because it's kind of a unique ordinance. So we just want to make sure that what we have documented and what we've done,
It's fair.
he supports, and that he can say, yep, this is, we've given them enough chances to comply.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and kudos to the staff for that, because my name's all over it, but the staff has just done a wonderful job putting together, and especially Andrea from the planning department. She basically put together the regulations of what they have to submit to comply.
Well, kudos to you for bringing it to our attention too, how, like, what a problem it is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that we would all know what a problem it is.
It's just appreciated on multiple levels, because it's been a problem for a very long time, and it's a lot of heavy lifting, and it's a long-term vision, so I'm very, very appreciative.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to look into see what changed that they can't stay at the hotel anymore. So,
It was just a Facebook post, so you never like.
well, I'm looking at it that when I hear that, I'm like, oh, maybe they're getting the hint. Maybe they actually are gonna, maybe it was the conversation we've been having where the hotel saying, nope, we can't have you here anymore. So I don't know. I've got some digging to do in that, or it could be what's happening.
We do have a Cascade contact who was at the fire department meeting, who can give updates on.
Oh, right. Yep, the principal.
The
Yeah,
principal,
okay.
and I can talk to you offline about that too, meaning about updates, but also care for those families too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
There's two stories here. There's a story of the hotels, but there's also the human impact.
Right.
I think he's been engaged on the human impact, so that it isn't like they're just.
I mean, you don't want kids like displaced and not in school anymore either.
Yeah,
But
I
you also
don't have a
want them-
solution. I was just awakened to it, but I never knew.
it's sobering when you're at the bakery taking trash out in the morning and a school bus pulls up to a hotel. And
Yeah,
kids get on.
yeah.
Your eyes are as big as saucers.
Right.
I touched on the Tuffy site. It's down. We're working on the annual report, which we'll have for you at next month's meeting. And then phase 2 of the pedestrian bridge is gonna start in March, which, well, that's only a month away. And be concluded by May. We were really happy with the way phase 1 went. The contractors were good to work with. So there was a little bit of confusion on the turn lane, so we're working with them on traffic management, because for any of you that went through that site,
That was
it's horrible.
I almost got, like, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was
Don't
terrible.
get
So we're working with them to reset
I know.
and see how they mark that.
I went into
for-
that oncoming traffic so many times.
So did a lot of people. Yeah, that was not marked very well.
Is there gonna be a chance for, I think, obviously the temperatures have to get up a little higher for Kent County to go out there and fix the potholes before the lanes start shifting, because that turn lane is full. of
Yeah, they can do
potholes.
cold patch. I can call the
I think it
county.
will be a challenge for traffic flow if we don't address that before the lane shifts.
It's traffic cop.
It is. Valid point.
The natural way.
Yeah, I'll get the road commission.
Yeah, it just wasn't very obvious that you were turning into oncoming traffic.
No, it
Until you
wasn't.
All of a sudden, we're like, oh my gosh.
I think that would be I know that was a dangerous situation, but regardless, like they moved through that project very quickly.
Yeah,
And got it done. Like they were only one day past their
Yep.
timeline,
Mhm.
1 or 2.
Yeah,
which
and
is
we're allowing them
rare.
to use the Tuffy site, so I think they see that there's an advantage, and
Yeah.
we told them that, hey, we've got work happening on that site, so you gotta hurry.
We appreciate it if they move in and out pretty
We already went through some of the events. Won't spend any time on that, but I wanted to bring your attention to the last page of your packet, which is, there's a an event that's going on. We partnered in the fall with all of these organizations on bringing an AI session. I think Scott, you were there, you and your son. So again, we're part of this. The DDA is what's represented from Cascade. And we don't really, Jessica does a lot of the conversation back and forth, but the Consumers Credit Union is actually the ones that they're really the kind of the legs behind it. They bring us all along. We hopefully get the people there. So this is the flyer for financial tips for business owners. It's on February 25th, 7:30 to 9 in this room right here. And I can say for the AI one, it was full. So we had quite a few people here. So if you're interested, there's a way to register right here on the flyer. I think that's all that I had. Oh, I can update you guys on the library. I know, Michelle, you had a question. So, and because the DDA contributes money to the library and the facility. So last week, the library itself is closed now and renovations are happening. And really the best way to describe the renovations is that they're bringing them into how libraries are used today. It's not going to be what it looks like a traditional library. They're reorienting the children's area so they can have more programming right there, but it won't disrupt the rest of the library. They're looking at more community spaces. So if you're there to read your tablet or read a book, you can actually spend time in the library, not just sitting at a desk reading a library like you used to do traditionally. So some more common space areas. And then just defining spaces a little bit more than what they were. This library is so busy all the time. So the library they worked with us on taking over the rooms that are behind these partitions in a couple of the offices. So they actually do have a pseudo library open during construction. It's pretty limited to what they offer, but I've been over here the last 3 days, last week, 1 day and 2 days this week. And in the middle of the day, the traffic is just steady. People are checking out books online. They've got a whole shelving system at the end where you can come in, pick up your book and scan it and take off. And they still are running programming in this room during the day, except for when we have meetings. But yeah, so this is supposed to be, that section should be back up and open the first week of June. And I was able to work with the Board of Trustees on, because the original project only went to the doors between the Wisner Center and the library. And it's like, all of a sudden you go through the door and it's like you step back in time. So the board has allocated additional dollars for us to work with the construction manager and the subcontractors to update this room, those meeting rooms, get all new chairs and tables for in here when we have events. We started with the new chairs that you guys are sitting in. So that will hopefully happen right after the 1st of June.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, so it's pretty exciting. We actually just met today with the construction manager. Demolition has started and they're moving because they know they've got a pretty quick timeline.
Who's doing the project?
Carbon 6.
I don't know why I asked.
Have they been good to work with?
Oh, they've been great to work with so far.
Yeah, they're relatively new for, I mean, not new, but they're probably newer
Yeah.
than a lot of the other.
They've really
firms.
stepped up because we've had a little bit of challenges with the architecture firm. So we've kind
Oh.
of said, thank you for your service, gotten what we needed from them. And Carbon 6 is really stepping up and helping with some of the
Nice.
the gaps.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. So it's exciting.
That's awesome.
It's
Will there
great.
be any outdoor spaces?
Not in addition to friendship, like just what's out
Like
here.
to the
Yeah,
park,
I don't
okay.
think.
So it won't really tie in like you go out of the library and then to the park?
No,
Not really.
they are looking at, I've been working, well, Wes was working right after Friendship Park got designed and we knew we were moving forward on all 4 phases at once. The entrance of the library on the outside needs a little bit of work. And it's really a weird traffic pattern too, because if you're coming in to drop off your book, you've got people walking across the driveway. So we're looking at how we can do some updates out there, but it'll be separate than this project.
Nice. Great.
Awesome.
Article 11, any other business, anything that new business that you'd like to bring into discussion?
Always curious if there's new businesses coming in. Did we lose a business in the DDA?
Yeah, I checked, there have been no new businesses that I know of that have come in. I checked with Andrea. She's actually out sick, so off the top of her head, she couldn't remember anything that came in. I can say we had, so I can't remember who they're combined with. Fox. Who's combined with, is it Kia and Hyundai, I think, is where their dealership has two, they represent two car manufacturers.
Mhm.
Something happened and they can't have those two out of one location again.
Oh,
They were looking at taking the Cascade Office Park, which is kind of across the street from you. It's the old data, it's right next to Subaru. And it's the brown buildings. And they were trying to negotiate a deal there and that did not make it through planning
Oh.
commission.
I go
So-
to the chiropractor there and I think I heard that he gets to stay. so-
Yes, yeah, I will say that that was not a desire of the board nor the planning commission to have another car dealership on 28th Street. So they put their foot down and utilized the zoning that we currently have. And because it would have been, there was a lot of improvements. There's that private road behind there that needs to be fixed. So there was a lot of things. And so I've heard that they found a spot in Kentwood.
is that one of the things, to Scott's point about, new businesses or businesses closing, that the DDA manager can fill us in on?
Yes,
during
100%. And
meetings?
I should do a better job. I apologize
No,
for that.
I
But
don't,
yeah.
I don't mean
Yeah.
to say that it's not, it's
But-
one thing because now that there's a person that's going to fill that, makes it a little easier for them to take that on.
Yep.
So,
Yes, and they will absolutely do that.
yeah, it's great.
I can't wait till it looks to me like Tacos El Canado is.
Oh,
coming
yeah.
in. Like they seem to be doing some construction finally.
Yeah,
I'm super happy about that.
yeah, I think everybody
I
has.
think a lot of people are.
Why it took so long?
I don't know, but I'm just glad.
Heard
it
something to
looks
do
like
with
they're
their
doing stuff.
insurance, because it was all,
Yeah.
there was an insurance claim, it got tied up. I don't know. We don't know the
We
specific.
paid rent, like they don't own the building. It's just odd.
I don't know.
No.
I heard in
My kids are excited.
I'm excited.
my circle of friends, small circle of friends, how appreciative that the new facade for the dollar store. I know I mentioned it
Oh.
last time. Very, very nice.
Yeah,
So I don't know if they did that on their own or.
they did.
were-
Yeah,
we
they
were-
started that before I even started, and then they kind of stopped because they were waiting for all of the village stuff to happen, and I don't know if it was overpromised, but I was like,
They couldn't
it's
wait.
not gonna happen in 6 months, so they just continued.
Yeah, it looks great.
Things are looking good.
Anything
Is
else?
that Indian restaurant doing good with? that
It's still
liquor
there.
Store that I.
Is anybody eating there? I haven't actually eaten there yet.
My daughter wants to go, so maybe before next meeting. I'll tell you how it
Okay.
is.
If there's nothing else for discussion for tonight's meeting, I'll take a
Did anybody
motion.
want to make any comments now that you sat through? Do they get to talk, like, people who visit get to ask any questions at the end or no?
I'll take a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.